my goodness, you're here. It's not time for Sparks Family Praise, is it? Oh no, I was just having a little doze. Was having an amazing dream though. Such a great dream. I tell you what, the king in our story today has a good dream. Actually, even better than the dream that I've just been having. But I should probably tell you the story downstairs and not in bed. See you in a minute. Hello again. This is better, isn't it? This is where I'm supposed to be for Sparks Family Praise. Silly old Catherine falling asleep and having a doze when she's meant to be telling you a story. Well, before I do tell you the story about the king who had an amazing dream, let's do some shout outs to see some of the brilliant things that you guys have been doing at home over the last few weeks to reinforce the stories that we've been hearing in Sparks Family Praise. First up, here are Vine, Adoro and Ebenezer with some Bible verses from Acts. Great effort, guys. Thank you so much for sending that in. Here's Amelia with a boat that she made to remember the story of Paul's shipwreck. And here are Edith and Florence holding lots of tin cans to show their strength. That's remembering the story about David and the fact that David was chosen even though he wasn't the tallest or the strongest of the brothers. Here's Zara with her tin cans. Zara, you two look very strong. Here's Ethan with some tin cans that he seems to be standing next to, not holding, but great effort, Ethan. I really like that. Here's Abby with 3 crafts that she did about David. She's done a crown and a sheep and a heart. Great effort, Abby. And here's Isaac with his crown to remember the story of David being anointed. Here's Esther and Caleb with the crowns that they made. And last but not least, here are the Beechings with their crowns and Martha with a sheep as well. Great effort, guys. I love all of those. Now, I just want to give you the heads up that next week is going to be the last Sparks Family Praise for a while. We're going to be doing something different over the summer, and do go to our website where the details are all there if you want to see what we're going to be doing over the summer. That website is www.cornerstonekids.co.uk. But if you have never appeared on a Sparks Praise Shoutout, or you have but you just want to appear one final time, then this is the week to give your grown-up an extra ginormous nudge and make sure that they email in the photo, because next Sunday will be your last chance for a little while to appear in a Sparks Family Praise Shoutout. So if you'd like to appear in one, do nudge your grown-up and get them to send me a photo at catherine.jackson@cornerstonechurch.org.uk. But for now, why don't we give all of those brilliant photos that we've just seen a big round of applause. Our story today comes from the book of 1 Kings, and it's about King Solomon. Now, I think if I'm going to tell you a story about a king, I better wear my crown. Here goes. Love it. King Solomon was King David's son. And when King David died, King Solomon became king. And one night, King Solomon had a dream, and God appeared to him in the dream. See, I told you his dream was better than my dream. Well, God said to him, "Ask me for whatever you want." Wow! Imagine God asking you to tell him whatever you want. I wonder what you or I would say if God asked us, "What do you want?" I think I might be tempted to say something a bit silly or selfish or greedy. Maybe I'd ask for a year's supply of chocolate, or for a dog, and for somebody to look after the dog and take the dog for a walk. What would you ask for? Why don't you pause me now and talk to a grown-up about what you might ask for? Pause me now. Well, I wonder what you said. What would you ask for? I'll tell you what Solomon said in a minute. But first of all, I want to make sure you are listening really, really carefully. When I've told you all about King Solomon's life, I want you to be able to tell a grown-up. So make sure you're listening really, really well. Well, when God asked Solomon in a dream what he would like, Solomon didn't ask for anything selfish or greedy. He said to God, "Please, would you help me to be a good leader? Would you help me to know the difference between right and wrong?" Wow, that was such a great thing to ask for. It wasn't selfish, it wasn't greedy, and God was pleased. God said to Solomon, "I will give you a discerning heart that knows right and wrong. And because you didn't ask for them, I will also give you wealth and honour." Wow, what a great beginning to King Solomon's time as king. Well, he then went on to build a temple for God. It was beautiful. It was gold and bronze and intricately decorated. It took workmen 7 years to build it. And when it was opened, it was dazzlingly beautiful. Solomon became famous far and wide. And one day a queen came from Sheba. Wow, she had travelled for miles to see Solomon because he was so famous. She was so impressed by how wise he was, what a great king he was, but also by his gorgeous palace and by all his treasure. Oh, it seemed to be going so well for Solomon. It almost seemed for a moment like he was an almost perfect king. But then, things began to go a bit wrong for Solomon. Solomon made some very bad choices. Solomon did some very bad things. But worst of all was that Solomon forgot God. He didn't love God first in his heart anymore. Oh, that made God sad and it made God angry. And God said to Solomon, "Solomon, because you have forgotten about me, because you don't love me like you did at the start, after your death, your kingdom will be torn in two." Oh, that was sad. And it is what happened. Once Solomon had died, Israel was split into two. That's quite a sad story, isn't it? I wonder how well you managed to listen to it. Well, why don't you pause me and retell your grown-up the sad story of Solomon's life. Pause me now. How did you get on with that? Did you manage to retell to your grown-up the story of King Solomon's life? The story of Solomon is quite sad. He begins off well, but then forgets God and makes bad decisions and does some bad things. It is a sad story, but it's not really a surprising story because nobody is perfect. We're all a bit like Solomon. We do some things which are good and some things which are not good. Only one perfect person has ever lived. I bet you know who that is. That's the person who was God and man, Jesus. The Bible tells us in the book of Romans, which, by the way, is the book that the grown-ups are looking at the moment. The Bible tells us that all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. None of us are good enough. Not Solomon, none of us. But the good news is that King Jesus came. King Jesus lived the perfect life. And because of Jesus, we can be forgiven. Isn't that brilliant news? All of us, like Solomon, aren't good enough. But because of King Jesus, we can be forgiven. Well, we're going to watch now a short video with one of our Bible workshop teachers, Katie Couchman, showing you how to make a fantastic temple to remember this story of Solomon. If you make this temple or if you do anything like it, then don't forget to send me a photo to catherine.jackson@cornerstonechurch.org.uk. I would love to include you in our mega shout out next Sunday. So do send a photo if you do something this week. Once you've watched Katie, do follow on in the playlist where there are some songs to sing. But I'll see you in a week's time. Enjoy Katie.
Hello. Today I'm going to show you how to make the front of Solomon's temple. So to make this you will need an empty cereal box and 2 kitchen rolls or 4 toilet rolls, and then lots of gold paper. So the first thing you need to do is ask a grown-up to cut through the middle of your cereal box and across the top, and then it needs to bend open so you've got some doors. Once you've done that, you can wrap your cereal box in brown paper, or you could paint it, or you could cut out lots of squares like this and stick them all over your box. The next thing you do is cover your kitchen rolls or the toilet rolls. So if you're using toilet rolls, tape 2 toilet rolls together and then wrap it in some gold paper. You could use gold wrapping paper or anything really, crepe paper or tissue paper or something shiny like this. The Bible says that the pillars were made out of bronze, so it probably would have shone in the sun, and they were huge. The Bible says that they were over 8 meters tall and 5 meters wide. So another activity that you could do at home is to measure them out to see what that would look like, to see how big they would have been. And then what I did was staple the pillars to the front of the cereal box and used a bit of sellotape behind as well to secure them in place. So to decorate your temple, you can use whatever you have. I've got some glittery cards here, or you could use, you could decorate it with pens, either pictures. The Bible says that there were carvings on the outside of palm trees and angels and lilies, so flowers and pomegranates. So you might want to use felt pens to draw pictures on it or to draw patterns on it. Or you can just stick lots of glittery things on. So maybe use a glitter pen, or maybe gold sweet wrappers, or there's something like this. So something that you'd wrap a present with that's all sparkly. But yeah, you can use whatever you like. And if you prefer, you might want to make a temple out of Lego. So you can do that as well. And I just hope you have lots of fun making the temple. And if you want to send a photo in, that would be great. Just send it to Catherine. Yeah, so I hope you have lots of fun and see you soon. Bye.